And Ecclesiastes said, for all this I laid in my heart, even to make clear all this. For the righteous and the wise and their works are in the hand of God. Whether it be love or hatred, he knoweth it not. All events come alike unto all. There is one event to the righteous and to the wicked, as is the good, so is the sinner. And this is an evil in all that is done under the sun, that there is one event unto all. Yea, I returned, and I saw that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither bread to the wise, nor riches to people of understanding, but time and chance happeneth to us all. For we know not our time. As the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare, even so are we snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon us. When I applied my heart to know wisdom, then I beheld all the work of God, that we cannot find out the work that is done under the sun, because though we labor to seek it, we shall not find it. Yea, further, though the wise think that they know it, never shall they understand it. You know, friends, life is a mystery, and death is a mystery too. None of us ever asks to be born. We know not when the final moment will come. And even between those two parentheses of our being, we cannot account for all of the forces that change us, and that shape us, and that mold the vicissitudes of our existences. We are not the ultimate arbiters of all meaning and purpose in this world. We begin as dust, and in the final analysis, we end as dust, and we are not privy to the ultimate secrets. Not now, and not ever. Marvin Hamlisch is gone from this world, and he is gone much beyond his time. Many are his plans unfulfilled and his dreams unrealized. He leaves his loved ones sad and bereaved on a lonely way. Their hearts grieve for him, and our hearts grieve for him and for them. Their loss is a profound one. Dear friends, this is not the world of justice, but it is the world of love. It is only through love that we can endure. It is our saving power. But today there is a somber melody that plays in our hearts and echoes with these walls of our sanctuary, the very same sanctuary where George Gershwin's funeral was held on July the 11th, 1937. The Holy One leads us in sad paths.
light the corners of my mind. Misty watercolor memories of the way we were.
One of the great sages from 2,000 years ago, one day called in his finest disciples and gave them an extraordinary charge. He said to them, go out, leave these halls of academia, go into the villages, into the marketplaces, observe people, and come back and tell me what is the single most important quality for a person to have in this world. The disciples went out, they mingled, they observed, they trickled back. Rabbi Eliezer said, Ayin Tovah, a good outlook. If you have a good outlook on life, you have everything. Rabbi Yossi said, Shachen Tov, a good neighbor. To have a good neighbor, to be
neighbor. That's the essence of life. Rabbi Yeshua said, Chaver Tov, a good companion. And finally, Rabbi Elazar, the son of Arach, himself destined to be one of the great sages of the next generation, returned and said two simple monosyllabic Hebrew words, Leiv Tov, a good heart. The elderly Rabbi Yochanan stroked his long white beard and smiled. And after a lengthy pause, he said, each of you has done well. But if I must choose one answer, I would select that of Rabbi Elazar, the son of Arach, who said a good heart, because his answer subsumes each of yours. Ayin Tovah, a good outlook. Marvin had a wonderful outlook on life. He enjoyed life. He was always turned on. There are times we'd be alone, and I would say to Marvin, relax, you're not performing now. It's just the two of us. And he would look at me as if to say, this is how I relax. I shall arrogate to the other speakers the task of recounting his many achievements and his many awards which he received just joy. Suffice to say, when I first met Marvin, he was 15 years old. His mother said, this is my son Marvin. Someday he'll be the greatest composer in Hollywood. At the time it sounded like hubris. In retrospect, I must say, she underestimated him. He became the greatest composer in Hollywood and on Broadway, as well as a great pianist, conductor, and performer. And yet, for all of his greatness, he remained close to, dare I use the phrase, the common people. There was one time we'd gone to an exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum. And while we were admiring the works of art, two elderly women with southern dialects called me over and said, when you're alone with Mr. Hamlisch, please tell him how very much we appreciate his music. And I said, oh, would you like to meet him? Marvin, come here, you have two fans. He came over, he chatted with them, he signed their programs, he made their day. For them it was an extraordinary moment. For Marvin it was typical. Many years ago I read an article about an Indian tribe in Patagonia in the Argentine that has a very rich native language with very beautiful idioms. And in this Patagonian language, when one takes leave of a very, very dear friend, he doesn't just say goodbye, see you around. He says, I like myself better when I am with you. Marvin had that quality. You didn't just enjoy him. You liked yourself better when you were with him. That is a beautiful outlook on life. Shechen Tov, a good neighbor. This world is a better place because Marvin was in it. His sense of humor was all-encompassing, as was his musical talent. The story is told in the Talmud of a great rabbi of the 3rd century, Rabbi Posner, who one day is in the marketplace and he meets Elijah the prophet. The fact that Elijah had been dead for 1,000 years didn't throw him. He knew that Elijah walks the earth, and Elijah knows past, present, and future. So Rabbi Posner asked Elijah, who is there here who will be my roommate in the world to come? Elijah was. To a street entertainer, a juggler, a comedian. Rabbi Posner is taken aback and says, a clown? I am the greatest scholar of the age. I shall spend eternity with a clown? What has he done to deserve that great honor? And the life the prophet said, he makes people laugh. It can be said of Marvin, he made people laugh. He was extraordinarily generous, not just in obvious ways, but in little ways. Whenever we would visit him, we had to be very careful to refrain from admiring something too enthusiastically. He would insist on giving it to us. Not because he didn't want it, because he wanted to make us happy. He tutored many young musicians without charge. It wasn't a professional thing, but because he loved people and loved music. And whenever one of his students would become famous, and several did, Marvin regarded the individual as a dear colleague and never as a competitor. Shachen Tov, he was a quintessential good neighbor. Kagan, a good companion. As he loves all humanity, Marvin had a profound love for his wife, Terre. The story of how they fell in love and then met is more romantic than any work of fiction I've ever encountered. But what is even more beautiful than how he fell in love is how he grew in love. His love for Terre intensified as it matured. I remember how very proud he was recently when he was phoned us and told us that Terre was awarded a research grant of academic nature. How he rejoiced in her achievements as much as in his own. Marvin was very much of a family man. He had been exceedingly close to his late parents and to his beloved sister of blessed memory. He remained close to Terry's family, to his nephew David, who is with us today, and to his cousins, and our children, and our grandchildren. He would usually manage to find time in his extraordinarily hectic schedule to share the Passover Seder or High Holy Day services with us. Whenever he would give a concert in the city where any of his cousins happened to live, he would provide us with tickets, of course, and then take us backstage afterwards to meet some of the other performers and introduce us proudly as his family. We will always treasure the memory of the time when Marvin took us to Washington, D.C. for a concert at the White House and sat us in the front row, just 2 seats away from President and Mrs. Reagan. He was nonpartisan, it's okay. He was a Safra. He was a loving companion. And finally came Rabbi Lauder, the Safra, who said, brave Lord, a good heart. There is a Yiddish idiom which defies translation. We say of a very special person, he is a good Mental. A lexicon will tell you it means a good soul. It means infinitely more than that. It is a sublime existential concept. It means someone whose very essence is goodness. We do not use this term lightly. Marvin was ultimately a good Mental. That is why he was universally beloved during his all too brief lifetime. And that is why he will be so profoundly missed. A century ago, the great Hebrew poet Chaim Nachman Bialik, anticipating his own premature death, wrote his own eulogy. It is as valid at this moment was then. After my death, mourn me thus. There was a man, as see, he is no more. Before his time, his life was ended, and the song of his life was broken. Oh, he had one more melody, and now that melody is lost forever. Lost forever.
The choir now gives a rendition. Speaking now the most personally meaningful words of memorial tribute are those who knew him the best and loved him the most, beginning with President William Jefferson Clinton.
Rabbis, Terre, family and friends. First, I thank you for giving me the chance to celebrate and give thanks for the life of a great, giving genius. He gave us all the gift of our memories, and we remember him in different ways, which is why I could sense all over almost the relief when the choir began to sing, because everyone was free to celebrate his remarkable life to their own memories. Genius is rare enough, but the good-hearted genius is rarer still. The good-hearted, humble, and hilarious genius almost unheard of. My own memories of Marvin come from the fact that he liked to say yes more than no. And I can't tell you how many times over the last 2 decades he said yes to Hillary or to me, not just in campaign, but in the State Department, the White House, the work of my foundation. He always knew that his gift could empower other people and touch hundreds of thousands, even millions of people, because of what he did, often in a small room, wearing just a sport coat, sitting a couple of feet away, or not surrounded by just people, stunned and happy and calm to see this funny, giving genius. In his memoir, The Way I Was, he said, and all the press quoted this, which I thought was great, highly demanding father said Marvin Hamlisch was your age, he had a concerto which was a concerto. We are Marvin Concerto. We are grateful that he was given to us for 30 more years for George Gershwin. And we are grateful to be small notes in a remarkable symphony. So now, the final movement of his great symphony, The Way I Was, which clearly nobody did it better.
Seven years ago, the chorus line opened on Broadway. 3 months later, you will remember it moved to Broadway. If it wasn't an overnight sensation, it became one at that moment. Everyone who saw it tells you they discovered it first. And everybody wanted to see it again. It was, looking back, the very first musical reality show. And it had a book, lyrics, and music whose integrity, credibility, and originality made it one of the greatest musicals of all time. It made Marvin a music legend. He deserved every accolade. The reason the extraordinary success of the Tony-winning, Pulitzer Prize-winning phenomenon didn't crush Marvin with the weight of future expectations is because at heart, Marvin was, for all his critical success, simply the merriest of minstrels. He was happy in his own skin. Now, to be sure, Terre and his family helped to keep him grounded, but he worked for fun. At opening night of the 2006 Chorus Line revival, Avery Corman, a friend of the late Ed Cleaver, who wrote the lyrics, chorus line, went up to Marvin to congratulate him. Before he could speak, Marvin jumped up quickly. Isn't it great to hear Ed's lyrics again? Marvin's generosity of spirit was immediately evident. At a moment of triumph, he was thinking of someone else, not himself. You all know the litany of his musical successes, from their playing our song through The Way We Were and Nobody Does It Better, to his newest Liberace compositions. Oscars, Tonys, Emmys, Grammys, and Golden Globes are somewhere in his closet, and neither he nor Terre ever seemed to display them. There wasn't room for them on his piano anyway. Marvin, the young prodigy, Marvin, the great composer, Marvin, the ubiquitous conductor, Marvin, the generous accompanist and arranger, Marvin, who created a body of work few could match. But Marvin the man, Marvin the friend, is matchless in his own right. There was an award for being a mensch he never tongue. As the first speaker, I could try to reprise the second speaker, his brilliant career, but there will be a memorial service before long, with musicians and singers to echo his genius more appropriately. My sense of loss is immediate. painful. My memories of our private relations and the time spent with Terre and Marvin crowd out the public figure. Many years ago, Marvin and Terre, my wife and I, began a tradition of throwing Christmas parties in my home for about 30 close friends. There was no space for any more. Since half the friends were Jewish, this was really a secular celebration of joyous music associated with Christmas. Marvin transformed these evenings into his own musical playground. Words and arrangements by Marvin Hamlisch. The 12 Days of Christmas was rewritten to include the names of every single guest. 2 turtle doves became Barbara Walters. 3 French hens became Harry Evans. 4 calling birds became 4 Peter Stones. And 5 golden rings became Maud Zuckerman. He rewrote We Three Kings of Oriental and dragged Sir David Frost, Sir Evelyn Rothschild, and Sir Jeremy Greenstock in front of the guests to sing We Three Knights of Great Britain Are. He got Nora Ephron to sing the rarely heard and singularly secular intro to White Christmas. You know it. The sun is shining in grass and green, the orange and palm tree sways. There's never been such a day in Beverly Hills, LA. No one ever sees it off there. He played We Wish You a Merry Christmas in the manner of Andrew Lloyd Webber. Then No Song, and in the manner of Les Miserables. He followed that with a perfect expression of Johnny Mathis. On one occasion, he got Michael Crawford, the original Phantom of the Opera, to sing Oh Holy Night without a microphone. You could have heard it came from. Unfortunately, word got out about these Christmas parties, and we were bombarded with requests for invitations. But there was no more room in our end. We cancelled the event because we were disappointing too many people. A month ago, we talked about trying again, but time ran out. He was an amazing friend, loyal and generous. I remember he was invited to accept an award in Vienna, the first home of Marvin's parents, before they were driven out in the Ashes. He began his acceptance speech with a meaningful and revealing opening sentence. My father, he said, loved Vienna. He didn't want to leave. An honored guest making an important statement with gracious. We all know how hard Marvin worked. He was composing to the end. Terre was there for him all the time, wishing he would work less, but putting him back together so he could continue his search for the perfect melody, the perfect performance. Terre, you have been a remarkable, unselfish partner all these years. I remember when you and I sat in the audience at the Barbra Streisand concert when Marvin was conducting. Whenever Marvin thought Barbara wouldn't notice, he would lean out and wave at us with a mischievous grin. Terre, in this moment of profound sadness, try to picture that mischievous smile of an extraordinary man loved by so many, and know that he loved you best. You are a minstrel's girl. Yes, he loved you. He didn't want to leave.
My name is Richard Kagan, and for the past 48 years, I've had the honor and privilege to be able to say Marvin Hamlisch was my best friend. In the summer of 1964, I was asked to become a music counselor at a camp in the Poconos. I had zero interest in doing that until I found out it was a girls' camp. Upon arrival at camp, I discovered a rich musical heritage. The camp was called Camp Geneva. And every week, new songs were written, original musicals were put on, and they were sung from year to year, generation to generation. The first thing I had to do was try to learn a lot of the songs that were written over those 40 years. But the songs that the girls wanted me to play the most were written by the fellow that I replaced, some guy by the name of Marvin. All summer long, Marvin, Marvin, Marvin. It was really annoying, to be honest with you. Towards the end of the summer, we were in the rec hall at night, and the campers went to sleep. We normally did that. There were a lot of girls around the piano, having a good time, and then all of a sudden I felt I was completely alone. And then I saw everybody run to the back, yelling, Marvin, 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 and in walked my nemesis. He was tall, as you know, gawky, and he had a brown paper bag with a banana. He had carried that banana from New York on the bus. I thought, this is not a problem. He came over and introduced himself, and he told me that as he walked in, I was playing one of his songs, and it was the first time he ever heard anyone else play one of his songs. He was so nice and generous about it. And the girl said, please, Marvin, play. And he asked if I would mind. And I said, of course not. He sat down at the piano, started to play, and my life changed forever. I was overwhelmed by his talent. I knew I was in the presence of a genius. The next summer, we went back as co-musical directors, and that started the lifetime friendship. It didn't take long to realize that he had a gift as amazing as his music, his gift of being a friend. Last week, one of the former Camp Geneva girls tweeted something that I thought really says it. She said, his kindness, generosity, and spirit knew no bounds. And that was written by somebody who met him 50 years ago. Many of you here, if you were ever ill or a loved one was ever sick, and you told him, he was all over it. If you had a special birthday party or you wanted him to perform at a charity, he was there. In fact, I believe Marvin was one of the great philanthropists of our time. If you go back over the 30 years and see how many times he performed, how much money was raised, and he always said yes. He truly was one of the great philanthropists. And in that regard, I think he was an unsung hero. You all remember the night he won the 3 Academy Awards. The world got to see how brilliantly funny and witty and charming. Well, the next morning, I drove him to the airport because he was invited to appear on the Mike Douglas show in Philadelphia. And as soon as he got out of the car, cabs stopped. People started yelling at him, Marvin, Marvin, you were so great, congratulations. He turned around and gave me the biggest grin you could ever imagine. But a couple of weeks later, he told me he was a little sad that he had worked all his life for this dream. And he felt a little empty, and he said, am I ever going to be happy? I can tell you that at the end, Marvin was happy. On the day he collapsed, he told me how much he loved Terre. He told me how much he loved their new home. And he was thrilled by the direction of his career. In fact, he read me word for word the rave review of The Nutty Professor that had just opened in Nashville. Marvin was happy. So 48 years ago, my life profoundly changed when I met Marvin Hamlisch. And now it's profoundly changed forever.
Dearest Terre, my beloved Marvin, I am here today to say thank you for all the happy moments you have given us. I want to remember only the wonderful times we have spent together. All the holidays in the south of France. You always, with your exquisite smile, playing the piano and singing for us, making jokes, being so kind to my children and grandchildren, and mostly to Edmund and myself. Now you will join Edmund and be in peace together. I shall never forget, whenever you were in Washington, you always found the time to play and sing at the home that we built at the National Institutes of Health for the families of the patients who were being treated there. You gave them so many happy moments. You helped them forget all the suffering they were going through. Marvin, my friend, God knows how caring and marvelous you have been, the many hearts you have touched, and how much joy you brought to so many people around the world. I was privileged to have you in my life. Now you are in heaven, my angel, and I know you will continue taking care of Terre, and all of us will never forget you. Thank you, Marvin, for all our good times together. May God bless you. I will always love you. A bientôt.
My name is Leonard, Lauder, and I'm honored to be here at this celebration of the life of Marvin. Yes, Marvin, we are celebrating your life in this packed house because yours was a great life. Marvin was always Marvin. In spite of 3 Oscars, 4 Emmys, 4 Grammys, a Golden Globe, the Tony, and the Pulitzer, he was always just Marvin. Always a real person, no army of handlers or palace guards, no one except Marvin. To his last days, Marvin was a child of New York. He was born in Manhattan, and he was admitted to Juilliard when he was just 7, the youngest ever at the time. In his own words, my big thing at Juilliard, because I hadn't taken that many piano lessons, although at that point, was not that I couldn't play Bach or Beethoven, but that I could play Good Night, Irene in any key. Beethoven, that, and my Lord Fauntleroy suit, I got in. After Juilliard, he went to Queens College, which is one of New York City's great public colleges. These colleges and universities turned out so many greats like Marvin, helping us to make this nation a wonderful place today. America is singing because of the education that Marvin and so many people like him received in this great city. Marvin loved supporting the arts. He was always there to help out worthy causes, as we heard earlier. I met Marvin through my late wife, Evelyn. Marvin and Evelyn shared a common heritage, Vienna, and both had a Viennese sense of humor. Don't ask me to go into that. He headlined the first spring gala that Evelyn organized organized for the Breast Cancer Research Foundation back in 1999. Since then, every time he called, all he wanted to know how she was doing, or how we, BCRF, was doing, not anything more. He was part of her and her work, and part of the work of changing the world and making it a healthier and safer place. There's always cheer in his voice and encouragement at every moment. Terre, you and I have both suffered great loss within such a short time. Marvin left us too soon. And those were my wife's last words, leaving too soon. I'd like to read this poem by John Updike to you. It expresses exactly how I imagine you do too. I hope I don't lose this in the reading, by the way. And if I do, I apologize. It's tough for me. It's written by John Updike, as I mentioned. Perfection wasted. And another regrettable thing about death is the ceasing of your own brand of magic, which took a whole life to develop and market. The quips, the witticisms, the slant adjusted to a few, those loved ones nearest the lip of the stage, their soft faces blanched in the footlight glow, their laughter close to tears, their tears confused with their diamond earrings, their warm, cool breath in and out with your heartbeat, their response and your performance twinned, the jokes over the phone, the memories packed in the rapid access file, the whole act. Who'll do it again? That's it. No one. No imitators and descendants aren't the same. No one.
Very honored to be here today. When I was a teenager, blasting music from the chorus line on an old stereo as my parents kept yelling, "Turn that down," I never thought I would meet the Marvin Hamlisch. When my daughter was 2 years old and I was dancing her around our living room as the one singular sensation, I never thought I would meet the Marvin Hamlisch. The Marvin Hamlisch who wrote the music that peppered our lives and forced us to feel. Who hasn't cried these last few days, hearing bittersweet emotion in the notes of the way we were? Marvin once told me that the lyrics to "If He Really Knew Me" resonated with him. Does the man make the music, or does the music make this man? Marvin loved his music, and he was generous with it. He wanted to share it with the world. Just last week, he was eager to find out how his new show, The Nutty Professor, was received by the public. And of course, like a proud papa, he was excited to hear the good news. It's a hit. And as many here can attest, Marvin was not only generous with his music, but with the kindness and caring. Marvin was always there for you in good times and bad. He gave selflessly. He never asked for anything in return. He gave so much. How could I ever say thank you for a lifetime of memories? How is that even possible? I will play his music for the rest of my life and ponder the fleeting moment of knowing the Marvin Hamlisch.
My name is Yves Bruno, and I'm first going to read a statement from First Lady Nancy Reagan, followed by a statement from President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama. Mrs. Reagan said, "Marvin Hamlisch was my dear friend, and I am truly stunned by his death at such a young age. I heard him say once that he was old-fashioned, and I suppose that's why Ronnie and I were so drawn to him. But I don't think you could ever find a more contemporary and talented musician. During our time at the White House, he entertained at many events. He even let me sing with him a few times. But luckily, his piano music drowned out my voice. And I'll never forget that he wrote a special song for Ronnie's surprise 77th birthday party in 1988. My heart goes out to Terre at this difficult time." To Terre, "We were deeply saddened to learn of Marvin's passing. Please accept our heartfelt condolences as you mourn his loss and reflect upon his extraordinary life. Marvin used his remarkable gifts to enrich the lives of countless Americans, and his music forever changed the landscape of our imaginations. A tireless advocate for arts education, he reminded us all that the arts have the power to shape our lives and change our shared future. We know you will be dearly missed, and we hope fond memories of your time spent together will temper the grief you must feel. Please know you and your loved ones are in our thoughts and prayers." You know, I must say I am thrilled that it is a packed house, because that is what Marvin would want. And it's only fitting that our Marv, the people's composer, would elicit such an outpouring of love and respect from heads of state, first families, captains of industry, dancers, singers, composers, baseball legends, and everyone around the globe who loves music. Only Marvin could bring all of us together. He always knew that the music was the great common denominator. Regardless of where you live, or what you do, or how you vote, it's the music that we all share in common. Knowing Marvin was to know generosity of spirit and soul. And whether I was calling him to ask if he would conduct the National Symphony Orchestra for the first Obama State Dinner, or whether I was calling him to ask him, should I live on the Upper East Side or the Upper West Side? When I was moving back to New York, or the number of conversations that we had about arts and education and how to design a new 21st century in performance at the White House program. Marvin was always on the other line or across the table, and he always answered his own phone. And he was always there guiding my every step and move when it came to a show, when it came to a performer, but when it came to every aspect of what do I do next and my future. He was my biggest cheerleader, and I his greatest admirer. To know him was, of course, to love him. And while I learned so much from him, my greatest prayer is that every morning, when I wake up for the rest of my life, I attempt to go through my day with the optimism, joy, and genuine belief in the good nature of all people that Marvin had.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your kind words. I just got a text from Hillary, too, so please thank her. I'd like to point out something first, that today's choir is no ordinary choir. What started out a small, simple choir grew by the day and formed by already invited guests and musical colleagues. His peers have chosen to sing in this choir to honor Marvin. It's filled with renowned composers like Sheldon Harnick. It has singers like Lucy Arnaz. It has stellar orchestrators like Jonathan Tunick, and lyricists like Rupert Holmes. Marvin would be so pleased to be honored by his esteemed peers in this way. Thank you, Judy Clerman, for this amazing gift. My name is Terre Hamlisch. In the last several days, as in the last 26 years, I have learned just how right Marvin Hamlisch was in so much. In our home, when I admitted he was right about something, he would affectionately and jokingly say, "Could you say that louder, please?" When he left to score the movie Liberace, he said, "I know my talents, and it's not that I think I'm irreplaceable, but I do sort of have an experience and a voice to add to this project that is unique." Well, Marvin, you were wrong. You are not replaceable, and the world is saying it loudly now. You were a genius, a giant in your field, and as a human being. Quoting your friend Michael Keller, "The world is dimmer and a lot less funny without you." There is a poverty of adjectives in expressing our sorrow for the loss of Marvin Hamlisch. There was only one Marvin Hamlisch in the world. Marvin taught me how to live life with gusto and magic. He would order every dessert on the menu so everyone could taste everything and miss nothing in life. His friend Lily gave him a luncheon in France, and it was a luncheon that was only desserts. He dug into those desserts like he did life, with fearless abandon and unbridled joy and enthusiasm. His life force was huge. I, on the other hand, am more cautious by nature. He took my hand, and he led me into his world of magic, where even the mundane became electrified with his humor, joy, laughter, and brilliant insight. I remember when I would become totally confounded over an idea or behavior of his, and my good friend Jason Epstein at the time would say calmly, "Terry, you married a real bona fide genius, not a salesman. It's a different skill set." And he would quietly list the characteristics of genius to help me understand: the childlike enthusiasm, the rarefied creativity, and of course, the quick, brilliant mind. Marvin was the most loyal and supportive friend imaginable. I don't know people like this. If I was sad or discouraged, or had one of life's curveballs hit me, Marvin would jump on top of the bed much before I would prefer to wake up, mind you, and perform an entire musical complete with lyrics and choreography and the dancing chorus, playing all the parts himself, to the disbelief of myself and our dogs. But he always got me to laugh my way out of it. Marvin did the same for his close friend Liza. Liza, he loved you so. When they were young, on subways going to auditions, he would belt out his song, to Liza, you'll be swell, you'll be great, for Gypsy to cheer her up. Marvin's generosity was unparalleled by anyone I have ever met or seen. If your child needed a doctor, he was there to help. He performed for families with terminally ill members, friends, and the alien lady next door. Marvin worked to keep arts in impoverished school systems. Regardless the need, he always said to me, I wonder if anyone realizes I never say no. He never said no, he was there, and he kept giving. And this is important. He never told people all that he did. He did not brag. He did not boast. He was down to earth and never thought he was better than anyone else. Even at Campbell's funeral home, the stories that people told me in the last days, where it was his premiere, and his friend was choking, and he went out in the middle of the premiere and got him water and walked him out in the hall to make sure he was okay. As a human being, his character was beyond great. He mentored thousands and thousands of young people and never boasted and never bragged. So much that no one ever knew. That was true humility. Humility is such an interesting quality to have in this world today, and often overlooked, misinterpreted, and underappreciated, but a quality of a giant character. Marvin lived by his mother's Bambi rule. When I would fly off about someone's petty injustice, he would quote, if you don't have anything nice to say about someone, don't say anything at all. He lived by that and saw the best in everyone. He had deep, wise compassion and understanding for their behavior and tons of forgiveness and love. Marvin loved deeply, was sensitive, and passionate. His passion for music, especially for the theater, was who he was. But he also had a boundless love and passion for his beloved Yankees and for his dear close friend, Joe Torre. He used to have the Yankee scores whispered to him by someone strolling on stage right as he was performing. That's until he found this gizmo he bought that he could put on the conductor's stand. I thought I always sensed a bit more enthusiastic movement and rhapsody if the Yankees were winning, but maybe that was just me. Marvin said music is the universal language that brings people together. After receiving thousands and thousands of emails from Japan, Australia, Italy, England, Switzerland, Canada, Sweden, Korea, Germany, Austria, Israel, and more, I know that what he believed and said was not idle rhetoric. The world is mourning the loss of Marvin Hamlisch. When I was a student at SIT, the School for International Training, my fellow students were from the worst war-torn countries, Afghanistan, the Sudan, Darfur, Iraq. And do you know what Marvin did? He hired buses, and he bused all of my friends to see the musical family. He was always doing something for someone else. As the genius process goes, sometimes he would write things that some people did not get right away. And he'd say, it's okay, Terry. I will be known as the people's composer. Because I will make music accessible to the millions. Marvin saved cultural institutions. His leadership, vision, and contagious personality and enthusiasm from the stage transformed symphonies that are in very difficult financial circumstances, and audiences adored him. He increased the Pasadena Symphony pre-sales 200% and had unprecedented sales. He saved cultural institutions, therefore continuing culture in our country. I liked the card on the Pasadena Symphony's flowers. It said Marvin was genius with genuine. It was just to be announced this week that he would be the Philadelphia musical director of Pops. He had so many things he was looking forward to. His friend Jay Stein says he was the Steve Jobs of his industry. He started early and ended early, but he changed lives. Marvin had this quote hanging in front of his desk, which he looked at every day. It's a quote from His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. It says, "The true meaning of life. We are visitors on this planet. We are here for 90 or 100 years at the most. During that period, we must try to do something good, something useful with our lives. If you contribute to other people's happiness, you will find the true goal, the true meaning of life." You did that, honey. You were so much greater than you ever thought. How fortunate we all are in our time, that you came our way. How incredibly lucky and grateful and honored and humbled I was to share 26 years with you. Thank you from the depths of my heart. I love you, Marvin, and I always will. Just like it said on our wedding napkins, forever and after that. Thank you. Thank you for all of us.
Kiss today goodbye, the sweetness and the sorrow. Wish me luck the same to you, but I can't regret what I did for love, what I did for love. The gift was ours to borrow. It's as if we always knew, and I won't forget what I did for love, what I did for love. Love is never gone as we travel on. Love's what we remember. Kiss today goodbye.
always thought that he married beneath him. That's what he said, that's what he said. When he proposed, he informed my mother he was probably her very last chance. And though she was 22, though she was 22, though she was 22, she married him. Life with my dad wasn't ever a picnic, more like the photos you are. When I was 5, I remember my mother dug earrings out of the car. I knew that they weren't hers, but it wasn't something he'd want to discuss. He wasn't warm. Well, not to her. Well, not to us. Everything was beautiful at the ballet. Graceful women and lovely girls in white.
Yes, everything was beautiful at the ballet.
I was happy at the ballet. Up the steep and very narrow stairway to the voice like a metronome. Up the steep and very narrow stairway. It wasn't paradise. It wasn't paradise. It wasn't paradise, but it was home.
Everything was beautiful at the ballet. Raise your arms and someone's always there. Yes, everything was beautiful at the ballet.
I was pretty. I was happy. I would love to
At the ballet.
thou dwellest on high, beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence, among the holy and the pure who shine on the untroubled firmament of endless time. Grant perfect rest unto the soul of thy Son, Marvin Hamlisch. Lord of all mercies, take him under the cover of thy wings, and cause his soul to be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be thou forever his possession. May his repose always be peace. Amen.